Hey, what's up everybody? Chris here, and I wanted to record a video just to kind of give my final salute to Google Stadia. So early in its history, I was a big supporter of Stadia, and I still think that it's one of those things that just was kind of misunderstood for the masses, or maybe just wasn't ready for prime time for most people. The irony there in making that statement, of course, is that I think Stadia is far and away the best streaming service that we've ever had. That includes xCloud, that includes GeForce Now, that includes everything that I've tried. I think Stadia is far and away the best thing we've had sort of on tap for that. And I loved it. I think their issue, of course, was that, they didn't have a huge game library. They did have some big games there, Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, a lot of big titles for sure. The library was not massive. They really didn't spend much on marketing. I mean, as far as I could tell, aside from the launch, there really wasn't much money spent on that. And they didn't do a whole lot to sort of build up excitement for the platform, right? You didn't get a lot of information about new releases. They had little sort of trickle out events where they would talk about games that were on the way, a lot of times indie titles, that kind of stuff. But they just didn't do a lot to really generate excitement for what Stadia was. But again, the weird thing was that it worked great. I had the controller. I was one of the founding members, past tense, right? Because this thing is going away. And it was just sort of a great service. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to be able to have your Chromebook, your MacBook, your iPad, whatever you wanted, and even your TV. They had a Stadia app, and just pull out the controller and enjoy it, to have fun with it. It worked seamlessly. Sure, at times, depending on your Wi-Fi setup, there may have been a little bit of input lag here and there, but in my experience, it was nothing like the other services as far as sort of that latency, right? That was not a thing with Stadia. It worked flawlessly. It worked super well. There were some things with it that they never delivered on in terms of promise, right? The idea of just sort of having a friend watch you play something and then jump into the session, that kind of stuff. It just never came to fruition with a lot of that. But as a service, as a streaming service, it was, I think, light years ahead of where people sort of expected it to be. And the weird thing to me was a lot of people like to hate on Stadia pretty frequently without ever having tried it. To me, the people that tried it realized that it was actually a fantastic service. I mean, you can go on YouTube, read online articles, whatever it may be. You'll see that generally speaking, people really like Stadia a lot. I'm super sad that it's going away. And I will say, I didn't use it a ton in recent months, but there would be times where I would just have an itch to sit and play a game. Like I beat Little Nightmares 2 on Stadia. I beat Tomb Raider on Stadia. I would just sit and play a game when I had free time because I had my computer in front of me. I was doing work, but I could just Bluetooth the controller to it. Super easy. They had a great way to connect the controller to their network, and it worked flawlessly. So I hate that it's gone the way of things like the Google Glass, even though I guess Google Glass is still out there, but a lot of other Google products that get support for a couple of years and then just sort of fizzle out. I hate that. I really wish they would have partnered with somebody like Microsoft to make xCloud that much better, because I think Google really nailed the infrastructure. They had it down and it worked really well. So all that to say, I hate that it's going away. I got my refund on the games and everything that I purchased with that. I didn't really want to get the refund. I wanted to keep playing it, but it was a great service, Stadia. You did us well. I think in the future, what Stadia tried to do is going to be recognized as having been the start of something. A lot of people like to harp on the importance of physical media, and I love physical media. I collect Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays, Switch games, all of that kind of stuff, but they really had the streaming service down. They just lacked in the marketing. They lacked in the library of games and all of that. So they weren't quite there, but I think in time, if we're talking 20 years down the road, people might look back on it and say, you know what? This was the start of something, that now we appreciate a lot more, in the same way that we like Netflix when Blockbuster and home video stores were sort of a thing. Now streaming is the way to go, and I do kind of miss actually having brick and mortar stores to rent games and movies and that kind of stuff. But anyway, I appreciate everything you did, Stadia. It was fun while it lasted. I hate to see you go. If you are a Stadia fan, let me know what you think about its presence down in the comments below, and let's have a little discussion.